Sam, you've started 5 of the last 6 games. How do you feel you're getting a rhythm into your game now?
I wouldn't say a rhythm. It's obviously nice that the manager's trusting me at the minute and keeping me in the team. For me personally, I just want to contribute, and that goes from game to game really. And I think the team is finding a bit of a groove at the minute, and the team's doing well, and the manager's not changing it, which is obviously good for the personnel, the individuals that are in the team right now. But we've got a good squad, and certainly got some very good players that, if needs be, can come in and contribute.
I was at the game at Prenton Park for the win against Salford, and I thought you showed all the aspects of your game. You got forward well, and when Jay Spearing was sent off, you controlled the midfield, I thought. So do you enjoy doing both?
Yeah, I just enjoy being out there, really. I enjoy playing and winning and contributing to a good team performance and helping the people around me, regardless of whatever role it is. At the minute, the manager wants me to get about the park and stretch the game and play as far forward as I possibly can, having a positive effect on the game that way. And whatever the manager feels he wants me to do, I'm more than happy to say, yeah, Gaffer, I'll give it a bash. So yeah, Salford game was a little bit different to what I've been playing for the manager. It's something that's more familiar to my natural game probably over the last few years. But regardless of what he asked me to do, I'm not the only one. The team's like that at the minute. That's how we're doing so well. I think everyone's kind of rolling their sleeves up and prepared to do what it takes. And
the modern midfielder is expected to do both, aren't they? As well, get forward, but also help out in the defence as well.
Yeah, I suppose if you want to call me a modern midfielder, I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah, I think that's why we play in there as midfielders, because we want to try and do everything. We want to try and help the team get forward, and we want to try and help the defenders defend. We want to create, we want to score. We want to just be involved in the game, and in the middle of the park, you certainly are.
And the defence has been getting a lot of plaudits for the amount of clean sheets and the so few goals conceded, but you all defend as a team, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think I was just looking at some stats from the last game, and we were saying how many regains of possession we got high up the pitch compared to the opposition, and that's really testament to the forward players and their willingness to close down, willingness to shut down. If you can defend furthest away from your goal, then mistakes happen, and you've also got people behind you. If you're sitting deep and allowing teams on, you only got one line of defence then. So if you make mistakes, it can be costly. So a lot of plaudits to the lads that are further forward that are causing these turnovers and helping us play on the front foot.
And what's it like to play alongside Jay Spearing in that midfield? Does he let you go forward a bit more as well?
Yeah, Jay's brilliant. Jay's brilliant in there. There's not many people, at this level that can do the role that he does. He does it brilliantly, and he allows the players around him to go forward and play with the reins off, I suppose. And you've always got him backing up to that's kind of safety net. And he's a great guy to have around in the dressing room. He's a great guy to be around on the training pitch. So someone like him is definitely having a positive effect on everyone.
And you're 35 on Sunday, so happy birthday. Does it get harder, maybe in the fact of your recovery after games?
Who told you that?
Oh, I've done a bit of research before.
I don't believe everything you read on the internet. Yeah, I am 35 on Sunday, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, sorry, I forgot the question then. You've stumped me.
I was saying about, does it get harder, maybe in the fact of like your recovery after games?
I suppose so. I feel like I feel like I'm the fittest I've ever been in my career. So my recovery is coming easy at the minute. How long I can keep it up, I don't know. But I'm kind of going on a week-to-week basis at the minute. But my body feels great. Recovery is key to me. After a game, what I'm thinking of is I've got 6 days to recover and make sure I do the right things, put the right fuel in my body, rehydrate, do everything I can, because there's no better feeling than winning on a Saturday. So I want that feeling for as long as possible. So recovery is key. I wouldn't say it's getting harder. It's kind of a routine now, and my body feels good. Yeah, great.
You say you feel like really fit, the fittest you have done. Is that because you've been looking after yourself even more now?
Yeah, I think it's probably a self-education, knowing what your body can take and what your body can't take. I think as games go, I've probably got not as many miles on the clock as many other players at my age. I took an unorthodox route into the game by playing non-league till I was 25. So, as the desire is still there, and I think the knowledge is kind of all come together later on in my career, and it's put me in a position now where I feel like I'm reaping the rewards from it.
And we've spoken about Joe Murphy and Peter Clark quite a lot this season. They're still playing, performing week in, week out. Are they a great example for you as well?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a couple of years ago, you get to a sort of age and people just immediately assume that you're coming to the end and that's it. You're over the hill and you've gone. And I had a manager said he could see me play until I was well into my late 30s and 40s. And I kind of thought, well, that would be nice. And then when I walked in the door here and I saw how old them two were, I thought, I've definitely got time on my hands. But yeah, they're great pros. And I think the main thing is they want to do it. And that's the main thing. If you want to do something, then nothing's holding you back. And the manager doesn't look at age. He looks at what you do on the training pitch and what you do on a Saturday. And that's a big thing.
And what was it like as a new player coming into a squad that has had a lot of players over the summer coming in as well?
Yeah, it was, I think, my first day. The manager asked me, did I know any of the lads? And my answer was no. And he says, oh, you'll get on well with them because they don't know each other either, was his reply to me. So, yeah, we've all got something in common, and that's our passion for football and our love for the game, and that sort of passion to want to do well and progress and help this football club. So from the first time you meet, you have something in common and you hit it off, and so there's a good bond between the squad now because of that.
And finally, for me, it was always going to take time to gel, wasn't it, with so many players coming in? But how exciting is it when you see you click as a team?
Yeah, I think we kind of knew we weren't far off it at the beginning of the season. We weren't quite getting the rub of the green. Things weren't going our way. The results weren't happening. But I think it's sometimes hard to believe in something when you don't see it. But we were kind of seeing signs of it on the training pitch, signs of it in games, and then when it comes together on the pitch in a competitive game, I think that's the moment when people start to believe. And there is a belief in this football club now that we can go and win games. And we obviously want to do well this season as a whole, but we're looking kind of week in, week out. Every game is a massive game, and Saturday's no different. We have got a game Tuesday, but no one's thinking about that. We're all thinking focused on Saturday and winning that as a must-win game.
Brilliant. Cheers.
Thanks, you.
Sam, Carl stole my thunder a bit with quite a few questions about your age, but I'll carry that on a little bit. When we spoke to Mickey the other week, he said, and he has said this in the past, that anyone who's ageist should have a look at the recent performances of people like yourself and Peter Clark. Do you think in modern football now that players, because 34, I remember a time when 34 people are basically, most players are retired. Do you think the landscape has changed now and players are just generally fitter and can keep going longer?
Probably, yeah, you're probably right. I think obviously science in football has come on massively over the last 10, 15, 20 years. Medical treatment, stuff like that. I mean, I had a hernia operation 2 years ago, and I think I was back playing within 10 days. I played 90 minutes, 10 days after I was under knife. So those sort of procedures wouldn't have been around 20, 30 years ago when I was young, well, really young. So I think there's been a massive leap in sort of that sort of medical and science sort of thing. But I mean, the golden question is like, why do people like still want to play? And that's the main thing for me. I still want to play as much as my partner thinks I should be looking at what I need to be thinking about when I'm finishing playing. All I want to focus on is playing, and that's all we want to do. And we're just big kids living the dream, and we want it to continue. And I think as being older players, we can see that we can contribute on a higher level rather than just on the football pitch. And whether it's younger lads coming up and asking us about what we do and how we live and what sort of gym we do and how we eat, if we can pass that knowledge on to younger players and help them achieve their goals, then that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think that pressure from partners applies to amateur footballers as well, I can tell you. But um, just on that point though, about playing longer, is that can you feel a sort of a benefit in your own game? Say, so the Sam Foley of maybe 10 years ago or something like that, and you might not be expected to have the physicality of some of these younger players that are coming through now, but that game management it can make a huge difference, especially at the crux end of a match, can't it?
Oh yes, the old. I wish I knew now yeah. It's yeah. If I had the football brain I had now when I was younger, then maybe I would be retired. I wouldn't have to play. But yeah, I think if you just learn, that's something I've always personally tried to take from everywhere I've been, is just try and learn as much as you can. And I feel like my body's still working for me, and I've managed to marry them together with sort of learning. And it has made me a much better player than what I was when I was younger, and maybe more physical. I think I'll nick this from a former manager of mine, Graham Alexander, but you can't lose pace if you never had it. So I think that was a good one. But it's the game's in your head. If you can read the game and you can still do things, you don't need all that sort of explosiveness, which I've never had anyway. So
they seem to be doing all right from what I can see. But, Mickey was also saying that the League Two now, from when he left it, which wasn't that long ago, and his return, seems to be a lot more technical than it was previously in his previous stint as manager. But how obviously you've spent time in Scotland as well. So how different is what you were playing in Scotland to the league that you're playing in now?
I'd say it's difficult to compare really the two. They're quite different, and I'd say League Two is a lot faster, is a lot more physical, and is probably a lot more competitive as a whole. There's times when you're up in Scotland and you're playing, and you're building one game up a lot more than what another game is, and because there's obviously a small amount of teams in the Premier Division, you're always having an eye on the bigger picture. Whereas I don't think that's the case down here. Not for me personally. Anyway, you kind of have to go week for week. Every game is a winnable game. In Scotland, it's not the case. And I was initially shocked when I first went up there of how much football was actually played. I wasn't expecting the ball to be on the floor as much as what it was. And they might not have as many gifted players in Scottish football. And that's not to be detrimental to Scottish football at all. But obviously the English system, there's a lot more football clubs. There's a lot more players through the system. There's a lot more players that have dropped down from the very top. But in Scotland, it's not always the case. I was surprised that the lesser teams still wanted to go and play football on the floor and be progressive in how they were doing things. Whereas in League Two, it's up and at them really. There are some good players, but it's all about winning and winning at all costs.
You've got Carlisle on Saturday. Then supporters will be looking at that. They'll see the form of Carlisle and think we're in good form. We can go there and win, and hopefully that'll be the case. But I think they've now relieved the manager of his duties, and that's always a bit dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's going to be a tricky one, regardless of their situation. Without sort of going down the cliche route, we can only kind of focus on ourselves and control the controllables, which is us. And we're on a good run of form at the minute. Things have been going well on the training ground. Morale's high. We'll obviously have the data and stuff available to look at the opposition, which we need to do. But when it comes to them, they're kind of a bit of an unknown quantity now that the manager's got. And sometimes a team can bounce off that and have a positive turnaround. But we've just got to be wary of that. But we know what we're capable of in this dressing room, and if we can produce the game that we know we can, then I think it will be a good day for us Saturday. But that's all going to come with hard work, and that's something that comes easy at the minute.
And of course, not long after that, you've got the trip to Harrogate as well, who are second at the moment. Do you work on a plan for that now, or do you have to literally just split it in two and say, well, we'll reconvene on Monday and work on that then?
No, just fully focused on Saturday for me. That's all I'm talking about when I'm talking with my teammates. It's just that. And if you talk to the staff, maybe they've got something up their sleeve. But from a player's perspective, no, you can't focus on that. It's a long way away in my mind, that game.